In this video, we're going to take a look at how we can use some basic tools in SketchUp Pro to create this puzzle part using a subtractive method. Subtractive method generally has us start with a shape, in this case a rectangular prism, that is the full length and depth and height of the object, and then subtract away the portions that we do not need. This puzzle part comes from activity 2.2, take modeling to another dimension. And let's see how we can create this doing a subtractive method in SketchUp Pro. When I begin, one of the first things that I like to do is go to the camera menu and change the way I'm looking at this to parallel projection. What this does is gives us a very traditional isometric look at the object, which we're very familiar with. To begin, I'm going to create a rectangle on the horizontal axis here, or work plane here, that will represent the base of the object. So working from the origin, I'll start that rectangle. And by checking my dimensions, I know that it's 1.5 inches in width across the front, comma, and 2.25 inches in depth from front to back. And you can see there that it's given us a footprint. Then we can push-pull this to the full height, which is 1.5 inches. And I have a rectangular prism that I can use to begin our subtractive method. So there are several ways that I can go about doing this. You notice I've got this tower section. If I wished, I could remove that section that sits beside that and get rid of that. I could remove the piece of material that would be above this one. I could remove this notch on the corner. There are just several different ways that we can go about doing this. So don't get locked into thinking one way is the only way that this can happen. I'm going to begin by taking away this material on the corner that sits beside this tower. So to do that, that's going to be a rectangular shape that starts from this corner. And that rectangle is 0.75, comma, 0.75. So we've got that in place. We'll do a push-pull. Start that down, and this is going to go the full height of the object, 1.5 inches, and you can see that very nicely it's removed that material from the corner. We'll orbit this a little bit later to be sure that everything has dropped out of that as it should. Now it makes sense to me to think about removing this material that would be on the top of this next section at this point, so I'll also use a rectangle. And that one is going to be 1.5 inches in width, and depth from front to back would be 0.75 inches. And then I can use my push-pull. And take that down. You can see I could have actually removed everything on the top of that, but this will be okay, 0.75. So I've removed that material there. All right. So then at this point, let's think about this notch right here and remove all the material for it. That would start at this corner. 0.75 inches, comma, 0.75 inches would be the dimension on that one. And then push-pull that down 1.5 all the way to the bottom. Oh, and this one is not going to let me go ahead and run into that right there. And since I went ahead and I did that section that was 3/4 of an inch down earlier, it looks like I'm kind of locked into that at this point. Well, let's see what happens here if I try it from this one. And if I pull that all the way to the bottom, I can actually get rid of that. Would be another way to handle that particular situation, but that would be a section that I want to keep. So let's actually undo that. Put that back up there. So let's try this, which we want to get rid of. We can actually pull that all the way to the bottom and get rid of it. And then this one down to that level. If I hit that just like I want, it should be fine. It looks like I'm a little bit off there. Yeah, you can see right there I went a little bit far. So sometimes trying to do this by eye doesn't work quite so well. So let's do this. Let's start it down and give it the dimension 0.75, which will bring it down to the exact level I need. And at this point, I would take my erase tool and erase away this little line that I no longer need. And when I get that done, you can see that my part actually matches the one that I started with as an example. So, as I said before, don't get locked into thinking there's only one way that you can go about doing this. Sometimes you can pull away larger sections or smaller sections as it makes sense to you. But read very carefully any prompts that the program is giving you. And if you'll do that and undo items that don't work quite so well for you and try again, you should have a lot of success using the subtractive method to create parts using SketchUp Pro. Hope it works well for you. Good luck as you do your work.